get to sit back and watch everyone else have fun while you're sitting there waiting for the next game. So now we hop on board and Candy, who's going to be in the exact same situation as Milan, turns that one around. And he's really been playing a lot better as of late.
He has indeed.
Ga weg, jongen. Hoerenkind.
Got a lot and normal line, but both of them have been playing very well and have consistently been making it in that top 25. It seems like almost every single qualifier, so it's really good to see consistency being rewarded, especially with the way the format is. The format rewards those high-placing, high-consistent games, so if you're able to get to top 15, top 25, top 10 every single game, you're going to start to make your way to the top of the leaderboard.
That's what the goal is for the end. We talked about so much yesterday how it's, hey, top 25 is all that matters. But here, everyone wants to be number one. You have to walk away with that top spot. The solos competition, if you want the grand prize in the Axe of Champions and all the clout that comes with saying, hey, I am the best.
Even mijn camera aanzetten.
Back-to-back eliminations, but now under pressure from Rifle, going to get in directly on sticking.
Links van ondergooien. Yo. Live en Party Royale kijken. Voor wat? Live en Party Royale. De FNCS Cup.
Wat moet je daar misschien doen?
Gewoon kijken.
Zo, waarom zouden we gewoon kijken?
Ik weet niet, Rijnderwouta.
Wat is dat?
Popcorn aan het maken.
Gaan we geen trio arena?
Ik wil wel, maar ik weet niet als Reinder wilt. Maar Reinder is er nu niet, hè.
Seen him play so aggressively, the young player from the UK, but when he's put on the back foot, it can be a little bit challenging there. Maestro did come through, got dropped down to 48 HP, but don't forget, in arena and tournament settings, there is that siphon enabled. That means when you eliminate an opponent, you will get either 50 HP or 50 shield, depending on which one you end up needing. Prioritizes health first. And they will also drop all of their materials, all of their loot, and an additional 150 materials, an extra 15 builds that you can go over and see that ends up being really key, particularly in the mid and the late game now. With on board here with the Ventex, who takes two really big shots and just put on the back foot.
He is, but luckily enough for him, Prince does not have any shield pop. Now, it's not going to be as good as he is going to be finding time to get those middies in that big shield pop. And Inte over there needs to find an aggressive push into the box and needs to catch him off guard. With Ventex is going to get this medkit off. This does not look well for them, but it seems like the medkit will be popped, so he does get back to fighting HP. Under 50 HP is enough to withstand some shots. Treasures now on the back foot, and that's exactly what he needed to do. He needed to turn that defense that he was waiting on into that offensive moment, and now Treasures in a very bad situation. 6 builds remaining, no HP to really work with. He's going to have to hit a really big charge shot there. Gannon coming through, not going to connect on these shots. He goes to the box, but Treasures hits the shot, and that's another elimination for him.
Yeah.
And you talked about it, he needed to hit that big charge shot, holding it up and punishing the player, particularly when you see two charge shotguns. It's really difficult if you're not able to get that finishing blow right away, like No Luck Nebi does there, finding Kira to close out the fight, because you can have. Oh, Nebi! What? Don't even.
Deze stand was leuk, jongen.
Nebi showing the power of the hunting rifle, showing up, catching 2 players on the outside. However,
deze
in the bottom right-hand corner, a 3rd player is now rotating by. So can Nebi get all of these resources and get out without getting engaged on? But those are 2 monster shots.
Kijk, zijn nu gewoon naar de mensen die...
Definitely not living up to his name. Plenty of luck going on.
Alleen nou. Wat is? En wel live, hè.
Just getting what he needed to get started. However, someone who is not having amazing luck is Jadis right now.
Nou, wat is? Ja, man. Want je weet wat, hoe of wat?
Which does allow these campfires and the apples that drop that can be 5 HP per consume. He's going to be in a good spot. He's going to really farm up.
Je weet hoe of wat kan moeilijk zijn.
And look at his medal count.
Ze was zelf niet zo beeld, zeg. Je ziet toch dat dit plan rookt. Het toont niet veel zin, hè.
Ik ben terug. Je wil niet weten hoeveel popcorn ik heb gehad.
Ja, nee.
Ja, ze zaten mak zeker.
Ja, zeker.
Dat moeten we echt nog een keer doen, de fucking arena. Oh, wat de heck, en is dat weer hier? Reiner, op een of andere manier is zo'n techniek steen. Ja? Oh.
Moet je 3 arena?
Nee, maar ik ga kijken. Hè.
Reiner, als je jump zit, kan je dat ook meedoen, hè?
Als je wel?
Jump ben. Zet dus punten.
Ja.
Getting into the boxes and getting the shots, being up 2 eliminations back to back. Plekken gonna fall there, and these are what you need to do.
Dus je gaat gewoon naar, maar ik weet niet wat jullie aan het doen.
Wat?
Oh, wat is het zelfs wat jullie doen?
Gewoon kijken, want mensen spelen nu live. Gewoon kijken.
Je hebt ook beter zullen spelen.
Ja, maar Reiner wil niet, dus ja, dan is het toch niet veel. Net hè?
Oh, you guys are preoccupied. First we saw Nevi picking up the 2 shots there, then Controller closing it out with that epic tactical shotgun. Going to be on board here with Ovation Orion. We've seen him pull off a number of plays, but again, really good kind of those ambush style tactics as you can see here. Trying to set up a little bit on this player who's rotating in front of us.
Oh, we zullen het mensen voor de irritant halen, zeg je.
Ik vind het leuk als we dat een keer een party royale doen.
Activated when you're above a certain number of players left. That number of players for the 3rd zone is 70, so there's 83 players currently.
En Reiner, ik wil een keer dat potje van ons, daar wil ik nog even aan begonnen daar, als video doen, maar dan ook op dit, want ik heb hem namelijk niet gerecord. Dus ja, ik weet niet.
Dat is de kill!
Wat?
Ik heb iemand de kill gemaakt.
Ja.
And what a smart play. He went in different angles and didn't just
Maar die duck zag gewoon zijn bek niet, hè?
Ja, wauw. En niks ook. Kijk, de popcorn is moppen stegen.
Dat is een popcorn.
Dat horen we niet meer.
Put him pretty high up in the storm surge, but he didn't want to take the chance. He wanted to make sure he was above at least 100 damage on the threshold.
Oh, great G.
I gotta get in the box because the storm surge.
Dat vind ik dan wel weer jammer dat dat gebeurt. Wat zit jij aan het rond te schieten, mijn vader kan om me.
Dat is bijna op, ga hem even opschieten.
We can't attack him. All of a sudden Phoenix is actually going in, but maybe a little bit of a misplay as he gets eliminated.
Op de punt.
Right away, Speedway had everything you could possibly want for a box fight there. I mean, look at the loadout, having the epic tactical shotgun, the epic first AR, crash pads, plenty of shields, so Phoenix might have felt a little pressure to go.
Zie die crash pads zitten.
Speedway punishing very succinctly there, as now we swing on.
Oh joh, 4 mannen bij elkaar een box. 2. What the fuck?
Ja,
Clement also joining in on the party, and this is what we talked about, that storm surge. All the players who below, and not being one of them, are going to be forced to find tags that they
BL Annas.
need to convert on it, and it converts brilliantly there, picking
Oh,
up
glitchy.
Clement.
Huh?
En het is echt goed. Dat was mijn subscribe op hem.
First placement threshold.
Wat verstaan? Zijn oké?
It was such a beautiful play by
Ik had daar een keer op zijn video zo'n comment geschreven en zo van. De titel was zo How We Won the Cash Cup. En dan zei ik zo Amos, dubbelpunt How We Won the Cash Cup. Me and the boys, How We Won the Game of Team Rumble. No shame. En hij heeft dat, ik weet niet, redelijk veel likes gehad.
Van jou?
De meeste likes op een comment dat ik ooit had gehad. En denk ik, ah ja, van degene dat ik weet, is 63.
He's already talking
What?
to another player. He's looking to take down
Of zo'n ASMR video. Alles zoiets, ja. Hoe ze dat hebben. Wat er dan? Kijk hoeveel likes ik daarop heb. Toet toet.
Dat vind ik wel jammer van die glitch dingen.
Ja, dat is playground hè.
Ja.
Hoeveel?
Custom. Wat zijn custom?
Replay.
Ja. Maar je kan ook live kijken hè. Maar ik denk dat dat live is en niet op replay mode. Waar zit die ene Batman hier te doen, jongen?
Fuck off, ik geef die 21 2 keer. Make sure they're safe and then find tags so they're not threatened by that storm surge that we were talking about ahead of time. Because now we hop on board here.
Oh, ik heb bijna mijn hand in mijn cola in de plaats, de popcorn.
Laat bezig rijden.
Zeker.
En boys, als jullie nieuw zijn op mijn kanaal, abonneer ook even, like de stream, deel de stream.
68 likes.
Zo. Je weet toch, 5 ping.
Ik heb er nu 0.
Oh, ik wil beter niks te zeggen. Eerst die weer omhoog gaan.
Great performance that he had. He was able to play a little bit more aggressive and still get top 25, which is insanely impressive. Now, the biggest impact of the game right now is going to be the...
Nou, dat vind ik zeker ook, Reinder.
Thomas H.
Zeker.
He's already got elimination because of it. He's also already near the next zone. He doesn't have to...
Juist spijt dat dan niet al de rest al
Really
ziet.
good for him because he only has 94 material.
Ja.
Ja.
Oh, Thomas had
Oké,
een
ik
stand.
Huh?
Die dat we nu eens gaan kijken is die, is iemand aan het trio zit van die Annas. Van die BL Annas. Oh,
Nee.
oh!
Oh, dat kan leuk
Van
zijn,
één
jongen.
matras.
End Sebi's game there. He's going to be sent back and have to queue up after that. And Thomas hits him with a favorite emote. Hey, if you got that emote and you're in Party Royale,
Maar weet je,
let Thomas know.
de aim klopt niet echt, hè.
He has a really good shot.
Hij wist hij zo goed als onze school. Hm? Toch met die, hoe noemt dat? Kaamding? Met die aimvak ding. Ik weet niet wat dat noemt. En het zat gewoon tand te ver eigenlijk van die anderen.
Oh, lek.
Ja. En dan zie je daar een of andere die wil daar vliegen. Ik denk er wel wat veel van mijn vleugeltjes.
Mooi.
And this is very, very good for him because he doesn't have to go too aggressive to get these eliminations. They're kind of being...
Boys, like nou wanneer even de stream. Oh nee, abonneren moet je niet op de stream doen, maar gewoon op mijn kanaal. Dat is laat duurt dit. Ja. Het is te zien tot hoe laat te lang dat duurt. Maar waar ga je op mijn kop zitten schieten, jongen? Moet je nagaan. Er is zo fucking veel man in een kleine cirkel. Oh, lag.
Eerste potje is gewonnen. En één van de potjes is gewonnen.
Maar zijn huis?
Dat het iemand gewonnen heeft ergens in een andere game.
Ja, logisch. Iedereen wint wel, hè. Oh ja.
Ja, wel, dat is nu al een potje gedaan.
Zo.
Hij heeft 20 punten de winnaar.
En verleden keer ook. Verleden keer was dat ook. Stel dat voor dat dat je daarin zit, dan neemt toch fucking veel stress mee.
Ja, maar er zijn er gewoon.
Ja. Je stress is af nu al voor een custom game. Het is hè.
Ja.
Maar staan voor dit, voor het fucking toernooi. Ah ja, toernooi op zich.
In coma.
Oké.
Ah, ik word helemaal zacht.
Ah, ja.
Doe nooit meer.
Nou, waar gaat deze één, jongen? Lener, zag je nou wat dat die één was?
Die choppie heeft gewonnen, die choppie heeft gewonnen. Hij heeft gewonnen. Deze man gaat winnen.
Right. Maar soms kennen we ons de verleden keer ook gewonnen, hè? Of ja, gisteren toch?
Nee, ik zag zijn naam en het was hem.
Oh, maar de players... De winnaar van gisteren was ook die skin. Alleen weet ik niet meer welke naam. 1 pairing, boys.
Every one of these finals, we're hopping on board here with Quartz Froggy, who had an absurd, just absolutely gross run in
yeah, ik weet het daar.
Qualify himself, pushed himself. I believe it was like, I think it was like 19 or 20 points in the final game to get here, but so far quiet on the day, no eliminations, but indeed.
Maar eigenlijk, als je dit ziet in een toernooi gast, zo dat beeld.
Completely away from the current one. Everyone is going to have to move if they want to avoid that storm damage.
Alsof dat je eigenlijk precies ziet hoeveel buildings, bijvoorbeeld nog 5, 6 buildings, of dat je dat echt gewoon precies kan zien, dat ze zo chill zijn. Ik zeg zelf van 200 hout dat dan fucking weinig is, maar ja.
Falling down before that 40th placement threshold as well. He's not going to end on a lot of points. Question is, how many points can Froggy end up on? How many points can the rest of the lobby end up on as this game continues to go up? We see Furiachi, we see Mongrel, we see Letwick there in your screen as well. And Froggy looks to have taken
Hey, what the fuck? Heel die cam, jongen.
He's going to get that player down to low HP. It's Tammy going down. What a huge pick up there by Froggy, but he's not done yet. There's another player on the other side.
Check 37 man in zo'n minicirkel.
To build around with and to just drop down layers if he wants.
Hey, Benji Fish heeft iemand gekillt.
Focusing around high ground.
And Benji and Hen also picking up a pair of
Ja, het stond erboven. Nog één. Ik denk dat dat die van gisteren was, dat toernooi. Maar ik heb dat via Benji Fish gekregen. Oh, die hit, jongen.
Skype as well going down there. Lexi picking up Styler, but we're still on board here with Quartz Froggy, and we saw how much work he can do on the mid-ground tarp here, and he's continuing to run through with that charge shotgun. Picks up scouts as well, and we're in.
Hij zag uit als zo
this is what happens as we start getting into
zo
circles. All the action for, so keep an eye. Flo is all the way up on the high ground. Kiko has priority on the low ground, and then everyone else is the tarp in between. But Hen and Reason are still up on the mid tarp.
I think Flores is able to pick up that shockwave launch from what it looks like. He may have used the crash pad to take it, but Mongrel, I believe, going to fall there on the backside. Rezon still in this game, getting eliminations. Hid, staying on board. Crash pad will come out here for Hid. He does have a lot of materials left. Carrot picking up 3 eliminations there on the backside. As shots come through onto Hid, he is going to be able to block it off. And the capitalization there on the Stacey will be good as he realized already losing HP.
Wow, het spijt er nog?
Ja. Ik weet niet hoe lang ik er nog ga zijn, want het is zo stom.
Ik heb ook wel zin in een arena, maar Ring er wil niet.
Is het nu leuk om heel de tijd naar iemand te kijken als zo?
Ik weet niet, Reiner vindt dat leuk. Maar je hebt net gezien dat deze wel zo wint.
Ja, maar in die toernooi wint hij.
Ja, vast dat in de lang kijken.
En dat toernooi denk ik dat duurt tot 10 uur.
Flo is going to pick up an elimination there. We're doing a really good job at just maintaining the high ground control as we're closing in on our top 5. One more
En via denk
YouTube
of zo.
We have it. Letwick, bad sniper, Froggy, Hen, and Flois. Top 5 in game number 1.
Wat hè?
And Flo is looking to close it out 4 eliminations, but Froggy down below, you cannot count him out yet.
Of via YouTube kijken.
Chase down Flo from below. That'll be so huge for him because he will get that shockwave launcher, get that very low, more likely going to be edited down, shots come through, but no, Flo is
1v1 erin.
Froggy gets down hit. In the meantime, 1v1, Froggy versus Lois, the shockwave launcher up above. Froggy trying to dodge him, Lois sending him down, he's trying to, but he's running out of match. His team knows remaining, and Froggy doesn't...
Ja, die was de hashstruin.
Going out in the zone, taking some damage, gonna shockwave himself down, little Mitro classic.
Oh nee, toch niet.
Shotgun does come through, the shockwave is gonna send him flying, shots come through. Lois is gonna get the beam.
Oh, en die één jongen.
For the victory royale.
Maar het is toch wel bijna gedaan, want hij heeft die gewonnen.
Nee, het potje is gedaan.
Showing the versatility of that shockwave launcher, launching himself down and then finding a gap to launch the opponent out, tracking him and picking it up with the AR.
Hij dan al zo zijn pointer op de randen.
Taking home the victory royale, but we'll see where the leaderboard shakes out. We're gonna toss it back on over to Zeke, Shio, and Bob.
4 kijkers allemaal weg, mensen. Boys.
Man, a strong start here in EU, really coming out. The nice flow. Flois finding himself a victory royale. Guys, this final fight between Froggy and Flois, both players walk into that 1v1, 5 eliminations. The Elim and the victory royale is going to be that 4-point swing. This is gonna be a good tone setting for the rest of the competitions.
We saw it in every region, right? 1 point matters, and that's a 4-point difference for that win and the Elim. The coolest thing, though, to me was the versatility for Flois and how he was playing every single engagement differently and using his entire kit to be able to be first overall in Europe right now.
What the fuck, jongen? Stop. Ren er pas op. Ah nee, Booga stond er, daar bleef ik ertussen. En maar ik denk zelfs serieus dat deze guy de vorige keer ook was gewonnen hoor. Reinder?
Wat?
Die guy die nu is gewonnen heeft gisteren ook de eerste game gewonnen.
Kan.
Nu nog maar de eerste game gedaan.
Ja.
I mean, there are some of these guys who have the potential to win for sure, but I don't know if that's quite it yet.
Yeah, I think at the top, I mean, obviously this is such a strong start. 20 points for Flois. Now he's off the line, but he needs to take that next step and turn this into a full-on sprint toward the end. Is this the momentum he needs to do this?
Yeah, I mean, for all the people over here, that's the same kind of question, right? And if you haven't seen the standings leaderboard before, the eliminations are the total overall over the 6 games we're playing, as well as the points. So that's a combination of the placement and elims these guys have.
Het heeft 1 kill en 7 punten. Oké. Dan zie je zo 3 mensen met 3 kills met 5 punten.
Everyone here is focused on that win, and they're just slightly behind. Still, though, really hot off the gate.
Yeah, there's a lot of different things that people have to figure out on this first game. There are a lot of things and changes to what people might have been expecting. The plan Zeke, you talked earlier about how these guys are all starting to do their research and whatnot. It shifts a little bit in grand finals. People start to make decisions and play with the mind a little bit of each other to, you know, force things that you might not be comfortable with.
A lot of that is going to dictate that drop spot, right? And how that could, I mean, we're talking about 100 of the very best in the world. If I'm going somewhere and my peer is going somewhere that I'm used to playing with, and again,
Nou, zij kijken continu in de drop gaat mee.
I mean, it always starts in the early game, right? Just in general, the entire tournament from game number 1, your mentality is set in. If you do well, if you do bad, and now everyone has different expectations. If you're like Polis, you're at the top spot. You guys mentioned it. Now it's your game of endurance, holding it and not faltering when things go bad.
And in the grand finals, we have seen tournament after tournament. Being uncontested increases your chances of winning tournaments by tenfold, if not more than that. So being uncontested means you have nobody landing with you. You might be familiar with landing in a hot spot. You don't want to be doing that in grand finals or in set lobbies at all.
Yeah, the opposite of that is contested when someone is there.
Oh, yeah.
Noah Riley, or side by side of the yacht on the northern side of the map.
Are there?
2 other big names all the way at Slippery Swamp, Kiriachi, and then Benji Fishing.
Noah Riley was not supposed to go to the yacht with Mr. Savage. Mr. Savage had thought that he had done enough to force nobody to land with him throughout the heats. But you know what changes now for Benji is that Noah was going to be landing in the same main building. And of course, Noah did not want to do that, challenge one of the best players in the world at off-spawn fighting. Did not want to challenge Benji whatsoever. He'll leave what success he had throughout the qualifiers to end up going against Mr. Savage.
I mean, now it's going to be even harder, I think, for Noah Riley all the way up at the yacht. For Benji, even freer. But how did that look in game number 1, right? We're talking about these names, and we missed one of the biggest ones from the first game, Lois, who ended up getting the Shockwave loot. Didn't start with it, though. He was at the orchard.
And a big difference from what we see for Flores, because usually it is the Shockwave
die hit, jongen.
in the early game. That's why he got to this spot. But it doesn't matter. He'll grab it anyways. And he's even contested the orchard. So
maar dat is eigenlijk echt wel slimmer met die impuls.
contested, reducing your chances of winning in grand
Gewoon random schieten en dan.
just did, and it doesn't matter where you land. You could always stumble across get Shockwave launcher.
And this is kind of like talking about the quality of the players we're seeing, right? Like, yes, of course, we have mythic items to play around, but for someone like Lois, it's like if he's going to walk up and he's going to take a fight and eliminate you, and that loot's just going to be put in his hands, it's like, okay, I'm already good. I'm already at a 10. You're just giving me that loot and now making me an 11.
Yeah, and also to think about other people who usually have that opportunity to make it through, there was a lot of the big names. I mean, Janice fell off spawn, which you did not expect for him landing at Steamy Stacks with 2 players who play kind of passively in that. He got sniped. There was also a number of different people who fell in the mid game.
No.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing and the number 1 word for all these players right now is momentum, right? Flores finding that Shockwave launcher gives them a bunch. Janice getting taken out, as we just mentioned, stops the momentum overall, right?
Waarom sta ik hier?
These guys have to find a way to rev their engines faster and then get ahead of everyone else with momentum.
A lot of momentum here to start the day. Now, guys, I do want to continue, but I'm getting word the games are ready. So let's get ready to hop into game number 2 here of the Fortnite Champion Series in Europe. Let's see if the action continues. Sundown's play. Send it back your way.
Oh. Nee, die moet ik geen map open doen.
Thank you so
Okay, it's got
much, Zeke, Shio, and Ball.
Nee, er zit er bijna niemand
so
in.
excited to see because I'm a personal fan, or like I'm a advocate
iedereen
of the
zit
fact that
op
game
elkaar,
1
dus je
is
kan
a nice way
even
to
zien.
set the tone.
Daar zitten
You
ze.
get an idea of how the leaderboard and how the lobbies are going to play after game 2, because particularly with solos, it's about consistency. Who's able to turn over a performance from one game to the next and continue it rolling, and you're really able to see that going down in the second match.
And into the third as well. If you're able to bounce back,
Check hoeveel mensen in de
really submit yourself
pit
at the
corner.
top, you've got a chance in that 4th, 5th, and 6th game to really turn online.
Altijd.
Benji, somebody who definitely needs to turn online, but Savage is going to go down to Noah Riley in the feed. So the contestation happened, and Savage unfortunately falling. Looks like Benji is trying to take down Kiriachi in the time being.
Yeah, Benji trying to set up one of those ambushes here on the side. You can see him trying to pick up Kiriachi as he's going right for those slurp jugs. He is going to find the initial burst shots. They're opting not to use that sniper
jongen.
and instead closing the gap on him as fast as possible.
Oh, daar was die.
He's able to get it. White tags coming through, using the tack shot
So
with a high
nice.
rate of fire to push from the box. And well done, Benji. We talked about the contestant over there, and he says, "Up, 0 out of 10 for the effort." The Russian judge doesn't even give him a point. Benji taking it down there, and that's 2 elims right off in the start for him there. You can see in the bottom left-hand corner, the 2 most contested areas are Rig and Salty Springs, each with 5+ players right now. So a lot of space being pushed out, and it's interesting to see 5 players in Salty. I mean, effectively, you're all taking one house of loot and saying, "I hope this is enough."
Yeah, I don't know why 5 players are there. And I think it has to do something with Rezon. He scared everybody away from Holly Hedges. Anybody that normally landed in that path, he said, "No, I'm just going to go try my chance at Salty there." Because we're now over to the Fortia. This is Mongol, and he's been dropping here for a while. We know that. But he does not have Ocean's Burst AR and Ocean Bottomless Slug Jug. Someone else may have snagged it from him, and with his aim and with what he
Face mongrel.
that missing Burst AR
Trainer.
is so good.
Ja, oh, en dan is er een. Oh.
He's gonna get some tags going into this fight. That player
Mag
gonna
gaan weer
have to
dood.
back out.
Nee, ja,
Mongol, though,
niet.
not gonna let him do it. He's got to be careful. He is running out of AR ammo, but he says,
Hey, mijn trucje. Allee, trucje.
I'm going into the box.
Wat had jij daarnet nog deed? Ik had dat wel een keer ergens gezien, maar ik wist niet hoe of wat.
He's got a little sliver of HP, but Mongo going to get in the box and do that Mongo classic and get the elimination.
Like, he had to resolve that fight right away, because even picking that up with the additional match drop now only has 50.
Heeft 8 punten moraal.
Is in the zone since it did pull towards that south side. He's going to need to find it with so many
14 punten voor victory.
It's going to be really hard to max out quickly, but now let's hop on board with our match number 1 winner. As you can see, the format in the right hand side.
Eigenlijk had die gast zoveel geluk in dat hij daar een victory had.
When you can see 11th through 15th is 7, 16th through 20th is 6. It's the intervals of 5.
Puntenverdeling zit traag naar elkaar.
Get that first placement point after the first 25 players have gone down. So still plenty of players who need to drop here. Generally a little slower from you. You typically see a little more aggression going on. However, as you get further and further on into tournaments, the stakes and the players become that much more difficult to fight against, and it's really hard. Players become that much more difficult to fight against, and it's really hard. Players become that much more difficult to fight against, and it's really hard. Players become that much more difficult
Het lijkt echt gewoon verschrikkelijk.
Players become that much more
Trainer.
difficult to fight against, and it's really hard. Players
check, en ze herhalen het continu.
fight against, and it's really hard. Players become that much more difficult to fight against, and it's really hard. Players become that much more difficult to fight against.
De hele tijd nog zo is, ga ik ook niet kijken, hè. Dat heeft toch niet veel zin. Dat is irritant.
Players become that much more difficult to fight against, and it's really hard. Players become that much more difficult to fight against, and it's really hard. Players become that much more difficult to fight against.
Oh man, zo irritant, hè.
That much more difficult to fight against, and it's really hard. Players become that much more difficult to fight against, and it's really hard to confidently take an early
damage, and he's going to follow up with the AR.
Eindelijk.
It's going to pay off for him. Elimination comes through, but now the question posed to Sebi is, can he go get his loot? Can he go get the shockwave launcher in that charged shotgun, or will he settle for some of the vault loot?
And generally, that's the goal. It's to go
Maar bij één op de road?
from the weather station, resolve
Solo
the fight there,
mooi.
and then head down and hopefully
nice.
pick up the remnants of whatever happened.
Ja, dat kan ik niet doen.
Wat?
Dat kan ik niet doen.
Match number 1
Ja.
is steal away that mythic
Toch al
grapple
4 punten in de eerste game en ik ben ook bezig.
Match number 2, you can see Hardfind over on the side, and Hardfind looking to set up a trap and a bait.
Daar loopt iemand. Hello, Marco.
Particularly around that vault area,
Alles oké?
there are some areas you can't build. Players look to have just an immediate drop, but Lethwick is set up really well in terms of his close quarters combat. Just having
Er lopen 2 mensen naast elkaar, fantastisch.
SMG as well as
Ik was net hype naar tweede geworden.
pistol means he has 3 really high rate of
Die gaan met elkaar
fire
vechten, beter kan het niet.
abilities to just spam and pressure Hardfind.
Ja, perfect, even eentje geraakt.
Ja, maar Reiner. Maar kijk, dat is nu het tweede potje, hè.
Ja.
Maar nu zijn ze al bezig aan in het derde potje, hè.
Wie?
En Hype Night. Wat zeg ik? Hier in CS.
Ja, maar... Ja, ze laten het achterlopen of zo.
Ja, het is nooit echt live, dat vind ik jammer.
What the fuck, doe normaal.
On the other side, we've got Wolfies who's in a fight against the Marauders. Hopefully he's able to get out of those. The Marauders very, very potently shooting. They
Ik heb gewoon zin in een arena of zo.
We'll try to eliminate you at all costs, and they've got very, very good aim, especially with that hunting rifle there in the inventory of the Deadeye Marauder. Wolfies is pretty low, but he's got Ardent pretty low as well, 150 HP. Now the Marauders are coming in here. The third party this fight. Sometimes the third party does not always have to be an actual player. It can be the AI, and this is really good for Wolfies. He's allowing Marauders to go after this player and go after him to get the initial.
Oké, die Marauders.
He's got to be careful. He can't look to go in right away with all these Marauders around. If he doesn't do any damage to him, it's going to be very, very, very hard to build through and walk through. As you see, the builds are going to get broken. This is bad for Wolfies.
Ja, maar kijk, als je mij pusht, dan...
Want die doet er een Marauder.
Got a player right there in front of him. Sniper shot going to come out, and it does. But he goes.
Hij doet er Marauder.
Wat mooi.
There, but the Marauders catching Wolfies out. No build, no natural.
Marauder, jongens. What the fuck?
Him opting to go down. Ardit will clean up all of that. So good heads up plays by Wolfies to pick up this night, but the Marauders ultimately enacting their revenge there. And it can be so difficult when you get caught out by them, particularly in the open. The builds there will target those and will try and take them out. You're definitely able to kind of ditch them and get rid of aggro when you're around some of the more natural cover houses, the bridges and the stuff that are nearby. But
oh, ik ben zo goed. Ik heb die cutty launcher nu.
Oh, ik hoor dat.
Ik werd er continu door gekilld. Ik ben er op mee gestopt. Gewoon 2 keer door dezelfde kitty launcher, hè. Zo fucking irritant.
Moet ik mijn... oh nee, ja, ik weet niet wat ik moet doen.
Spelen.
Ja, maar ik weet het, maar ik wil mijn floppers meenemen, maar dan kan ik één wapen niet meenemen. En dat is best belangrijk. Ja, die SMG is wel best goed. Alleen compact, want dat ik dan even moet spelen. Gast. Oh, ik geef iemand 127, die andere killt die, ik edit en ik geef hem een headshot.
Ja.
However, just they're so much harder to get naturally as you move through the map. That
nee, er zijn die snipe.
There, and you can see immediately he's gonna head over there. He's like, hey, I need those mats. I need those refreshers.
Die snipe is echt clean, jongen.
In the term, this is it.
Kijk hè, recht op de riet. Ah, toch niet.
Om te wat?
Kijk op het scherm, ik ga op de hoofd schieten. Ja. Moet wel even stilstaan dan.
You definitely want to have a little bit more like Noah Riley here again. Takes off Mr. Savage and now has the loot to show for it. They got much with this loot. He's got the player down though with the tag.
Ah, nee.
Going to be popped there. Now Noah has to be careful. Wants to go aggressive.
Ja, staat op zijn op.
And get the aggressive play, but that player back up to full HP. He's got to be careful. Shots go through the edit. Not going to connect on the shots there. Noah over the top. Shots come through. A 71 tag there for Noah. And now he's going in. Crash pad in. It doesn't matter though. The crash pad is actually going to send him away. He's got to keep the pressure up to keep this player from popping any shields. And he's got the player back and forth, up and down, up and down. He's got the crash pad. He's going in. Shots are going to come through. The player puts the stare over the top of his head. And another good tag there. Noah's not able to find him. Noah's not able to finish him off. This player continuously layer changing, going up and down in between the builds. And Hydro is just trying to run for their life.
Hydro trying to put as much distance as possible, and unfortunately going to go down there. Good job for Noah Riley on the chase. We talk about how important it is to resolve.
Ik denk dat die mensen die gratis dat die in de game zitten.
Wat?
Ja, die mensen met die gratis, ik denk soms dat die echt in de game zitten. Kijk. Ah.
Als zo bedoel je.
And what you should be keeping an eye on. Anytime a player has crash pads, that will enable them to push the boxes. You've seen it in 2 different
ja, maar dan echt, denk ik. Ik ga het doen.
Nee, stop.
Thank you, Ross Jones, for showing it right there.
Ja, zo.
Against hard flying very closely with 6 HP. That's the horizontal crash pad where you line yourself up on the corners of the walls.
Vanaf hier kan je ook kijken.
Ja, want dan is het ondersteboven.
Right behind you, and it pushes you forward into the box, but it won't affect the other players.
8 punten is niet slecht.
Line up your shot ahead of time, and most times it'll also put you behind them, so they're not able to play defensively. As Orange trying to play defensively, Papa just comes in and says, "Hey, you didn't have enough time to reset and get your shields up. I will take all that loot. Thank you very much."
And that's the dangers of taking a mid-game fight, is that if you take any damage, you're going to get third-partied. Players are going to recognize that shield crack sound, and they're going to move in. On the other hand, look at Lewig. He took that fight, got out, and now is on the move. But Kara is setting up an ambush, and the shots coming through. Lewig has been cracked. Look at the box separation that he just did there from Kara. Get a time. I am trying to possibly he's there with the top, it's not his. He did a nice layered trade coming out and above, but he doesn't have enough time to pop the big shield. He's just looking to try to pop another mini, and he does get it off. And now he's looking for a shot. He needs to put the pressure back on the Carrot. Because if not, then he's just going to keep running around, and Carrot's finally going to be able to get a shot on him. The Carrot decides, you know what?
Het doet echt wel kut spoelen, hè. Hij killt iemand met de kippie launch, 5 seconden later komt iemand onder aan die u kills.
I'm 50-50 on that. It felt like if Carrot had kind of kept pressing, he might have been able to
kill him. Met iemand gekillt met de kippie launch.
Because look at Letwick, there are only 2 total builds coming out, so that also means if you are able to take him down, you're not going to necessarily get that much.
En groene punt, hè, voor die 127 graag.
It's really not going to be that beneficial unless you're able to rotate cleanly off of it. Both have the crash pads, but now you can see a fight going on here between Diablo and NXS Z-Andy. Andy on the back foot here, and Diablo trying to push forward.
We gaan een gek voor het gebouwd
had
worden
the
om dit te
capability of playing aggressively. He is above that storm surge threshold, so he's trying to punch this player and doing a good job keeping Zandy on the back foot. Does get the clone replaced, owns both, edits back under. Zandy able to replace that stay there, so Diablo just gonna reset for a second, make sure he's still back up at near that 100.
Die in is doodgevallen.
Zandy, good job making sure you pick that one up. Zandy below that storm surge threshold. Diablo see that coming through the storm surge.
Is gewoon doodgevallen deze
so that's what we're talking about right now. You can see on the right hand side, Diablo is currently 100.
Hoppa, 9 punten.
Zandy was below, which means he takes that 25 damage.
Nog maar 9 man.
Also signals to Diablo, hey, I can just tag this guy up and then
any
damage he does to that player, as long as they go down within a minute, he will still get credit for that elimination. He will still get the point, and he can go over and safely pick up that point.
That is another aspect of competitive tournament that everyone has to think about. That storm surge, it plays the factor into so many players' games. Sometimes we forget about it because they're pumping, they're rolling, they got their match, they got their ammo, they got their builds, they're in zone, and then they're like, wait, I didn't tag anybody this game. I gotta look for tags. Frenzy Fishy on the other side.
Okay.
If you're about 100 to 150 above, you're looking at a good spot. If shots come through, he's going to take advantage and find swaps with 1 AR shot. That is what you do that in the first game. Just find any sort of elimination that you can, far away or
echt een ambetant, joh.
Don't even have to finish yourself getting tagged up for it. Beautiful game.
Oh ja, ik raak er niet meer op.
Editing a single wall, that's to avoid all of those hunting rifle headshots that we've seen come out time and time again.
Aha, 23 uit het niets.
Looking for some of those tags to make sure you're safe.
Maar ik ga er denk ik liever in.
That's generally meaning you're looking for long range shots.
Ik ga hem ook eruit de stream stoppen. Want